two. The vendor checks have been signed. Minutes were signed for the last meeting. Abatements for Ricos and Alzewski have been signed. Intent to cut for Fraser. Timber tax, Wilms is done. We got a nice thank you note from Tim and Kim Veneer for the veterans tax deduction. The New Hampshire Fish and Game Grant agreement is put forward, and this is an interesting agreement that the town can benefit from. It's $2,700. The benefit is for OHRV law enforcement grant application, and the funds must be used by January 30th of 2021. This allows Chief to work with himself and employ other people in town to help him enforce the ATV laws. So I would like to, so that we get this grant and get it instituted, I'd like to make a motion to authorize Linda France to enter into a contract agreement. And this is what you have to do. This is a process-oriented thing that needs to be done with the state. With the state of New Hampshire regarding New Hampshire Fish and Game OHRV law enforcement grant. Linda, it needs a notary public to be able to do this, and Linda fits that bill. Wally's involved in the grant, and Martha is the other person that does the notary, and I don't think it's proper for Martha to notarize something about Wally. So I'm making the motion.
May I make a friendly amendment to that with all due
Sure.
respect? You say Linda Franz is gonna sign that?
No, Linda France is going to
Jordan's on the
represent-
line now.
Yes.
Okay, Linda France is going to represent the town.
Right, but you asked her to sign that?
Yeah, because selectmen can't.
Okay, no, what I'm saying is, your motion didn't say Linda Franz on behalf of the town.
We need to be the example.
That needs to be in the motion.
Okay, I make a motion to authorize Linda France on behalf of the town of Wentworth, New Hampshire, to enter into a contract agreement with the state of New Hampshire regarding the New Hampshire Fish and Game OHRV law enforcement grant.
I second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
I vote yes.
I vote yes.
Jordan, did you hear that? Yeah, 3 yeses. Okay, so the motion passes. Okay, so that really helps with our law enforcement budget. On the Gopher grant agreement, let's see, pull this up. I make a this is a grant, I made a motion so that we comply with RSA 31:95-B, which is a grant to help out our fire department and our police officers. And I make a motion in compliance with RSA 31:95-B concerning the acceptance and expenditure of any unanticipated revenue from the state, federal, or other government units or a private source which become available during this fiscal year. This is a grant for $21,777, and this is an overall grant, a kitty that we can get reimbursed from. But as I've talked with all the department heads from the last select board meeting, you've all been tasked to noodle this around, to really think it out and think of what excess funds if I had to expend, whether it's in work hours. I talked with Deb Zimmer's not here, but I talked with her. She's had to put a lot of extra time in it. There's extra production of memos, paperwork, administrative duties. But at the select board, I don't know exactly what everybody has gone through, what hoops you've had to jump through. I'm sensitive to what Wally has had to jump through because he's had to sit on the phone meetings. Jeff, you've had agendas. What we really need is for every department head to come up with their thoughts, any potential expenditures, and get it, and send that into Linda France. So, I made that motion. Does anybody want to second it?
I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Jordan, what's your vote?
You remind me again of the motion?
You're voting to get a grant from the state, from this, it's a grant from the state, federal, or other government units for $21,777 for the town, that we have to pay for unexpected COVID, virus expenditures.
Okay, all right.
It's been, you seconded it. It's
Yes,
been
I second it, yes.
You vote yes or no?
I vote yes.
I vote yes.
Yes. Okay. Three yeses carries. Okay. Okay, that's done. Informational first responder stipends have been put in for fire department and police department for a total of $6,035.11. Jeff, have those come in to you guys already, or is that in the future coming in?
I just submitted it.
Yeah, it's just been submitted.
Oh,
Morgan
no,
put
I'm
together.
teasing, I'm teasing.
Oh,
I didn't
okay.
read it. Okay.
This is a list if you'd like to just take a peek at it.
Okay, so that's money that comes out of Katie and helps the first responders.
Yes.
Okay. The tax lien payment agreement is a non-public. Okay, so we'll do that. Let's see. Okay, current issues in town. Over the weekend, we had a motorcycle accident on Ellsworth Hill Bridge and a flat tire on Ellsworth Hill Bridge, so we had to do an emergency expenditure for pressure-treated runners and boarding to support that. I mean, it got to a situation where we couldn't wait any longer. We're gonna use it was as much for this emergency as it cost to redo the 3 bridges. But we can, when the wood comes in to do the 3 bridges, we're able to take the pressure-treated wood off and, as I understand it, take the pressure-treated wood off, save it, and reuse it, repurpose it.
I've actually got another plan now. Since it came out so good, I'm gonna leave the pressure treated there. And because $1,900 is too much money, and I'm actually gonna see, I'm gonna put the white oak on the other bridges, and I'm actually gonna see what lasts longer.
Okay.
So I'm gonna leave the bridge as is. The 6x6s were in great shape. We put 400 screws in that bridge, so there's not a plank that's gonna move.
Okay.
So I am gonna leave them. I decided today, I'm gonna give it a shot, and see what lasts longer. Maybe the pressure treated will last 10 years. If it does, I think we got our money's worth.
Okay. Follow that. Are you gonna put that in your minutes? Your present, just I wanna get that recorded.
Yeah.
You skipped the water testing.
I didn't skip the water testing, I didn't get to it.
Okay.
Okay, so that was a major event on the weekend. Okay. Might as well go into, I'm trying to think of anything else. No, I think we'll go to the department head meetings.
Well, do you have the latest one, because it does have information if they've got.
Oh,
the
now
water
it's gonna
testing.
rain.
I don't have
I
it.
had to add that.
Oh, you, okay. I apologize. The water testing came back on?
Yes, you
Yeah.
looked at the report.
I read the report, and
Yeah.
that's fine. Okay. Anything else after that? Or,
I don't know, maybe you should prepare, I think.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, because the water testing seems to be of some importance to a number of folks in town.
It's been sent out
Okay, well,
to, the
because,
report has been sent to them.
right, but I guess the testing's supposed to be done the third Monday of each month, July, August, and into September.
Yeah.
And part of the problem is, because the college, PSU, is not in session, we don't have any volunteers to take the water sample. So we found volunteers to do it within Warren and Wentworth to do that. And then it takes another volunteer to take it down to Concord. And so, yes, it's gonna be done. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, the first one was done.
And the other two, arrangements have been made for the other three to be done as well.
Okay, good.
There's one of the selectmen volunteered to make sure that it happened.
Who's gonna take care of that?
It's being done through the Baker River Watershed Association.
Is there a point of contact? Or?
Yes, Dr.
Lisa Donner.
And she is going to actually be supervising the actual testing. Kelly Peenon is the chairman of the Baker River Watershed Association.
Okay.
She'll be driving them down, and then there's a alternate emergency driver from Wentworth to drive them down to Baker. Kelly can't do it.
Okay. Okay, Chief Trot, you're up.
There's so much noise out there, I don't know if you can hear.
You're up. Just keep, can we keep that door open so everybody can hear?
It says you're in a non-public.
It's non-public on the door, so.
Oh, no,
Oh, I'm sorry.
that didn't come down yet.
All right.
Thank you. Chief, you're up.
I'm up? Okay. So, let's see. Where am I? Move it over here, I can see some of this paperwork. You're just looking for a report, right, sir?
Yes.
According to our agenda, Chief.
Okay.
According to our agenda.
All right, there it is. Following reports activity with the Wentworth Police Department, yada, yada, yada. We continue obviously to take part in our weekly COVID-19 meetings, which we're taking few of less now, which I appreciate. Having said that, I just want to emphasize on how much extra work the police department is doing regarding COVID-19 and all the meetings and the executive orders that the governor puts down that we have to read through, make sure it gets disseminated correctly out in the community. And I'm not the only one. Jeff Ames, God bless him, is having to contend with this too. So not just us, but it does increase the workload. Additionally, to give you an idea, over the last 4 months, I've averaged an additional 169 hours just related to COVID-19, which seems like a lot. It's an extra 10, 11 hours a week over 16 weeks.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of hours.
Well, you weren't here when we, is this Gopher grant agreement for the COVID things, to just keep track of those hours?
Yes.
You're gonna submit your overtime to get paid, and then we'll get reimbursed by the federal government. Okay?
Right, great. And I just want to say, we have a huge cell that's headed towards us from Havel right now.
Mhm.
So we may,
You have a huge what, Chief? I couldn't hear
a
you.
huge cell.
Thunderstorm.
Oh.
We may feel that and see that pretty soon here. So there's a lot of things regarding COVID-19 behind the scenes that are being done that require a lot of work on my part and other agencies' part too. I just wanted to emphasize on that. without
Okay.
being specific.
How does that overtime affect his number of hours he can work for the town?
Well, I don't get overtime.
He doesn't get them.
I know, okay, but
It's
You only work
a
a certain-
new point, time out. It's a
you
new
can only
point.
work a certain number of hours for the town.
No,
You know what, this is Wally's time.
Yeah, actually, I can answer that question. I understand what you're saying, Francis, but because the state of New Hampshire is in, or can and has been in a state of emergency, it's been passed by the Governor's Council as well as New Hampshire Police Standards and Training that all hours worked by law enforcement right now do not count against them. they realize the position that the state is in, so this does not, it doesn't affect the community, it doesn't affect me either. Well, it affects me how many hours. Okay, one of the calls that we responded to this past week, we actually took a call of a juvenile that was in possession of what was reported to us as a local handgun in the area of Shawnee store. I responded as well as Deputy Kiraketti. We were able to locate the juvenile. Unfortunately, it turned out to be an airsoft gun, not a real gun. But we dealt with that and his parents and did some counseling, and that matter was resolved. We took a report of some suspicious activity on East Side Road. That matter is currently still under investigation and will be monitored by myself and my other officers. We took a report, Chief Ames will be interested in this, we took a report of a nuisance bear on Wentworth Road, on East Side Road, that was actually a significant problem for the homeowner. I never even asked me afterwards. We hooked them up with fishing game, and we're coordinating with them on how to get the bear taken care of. And hopefully we'll be able to do that without harming them. I answered a right-to-know request under RSA 91A from the New Hampshire Public Radio on behalf of the town of Wentworth. I answered the right-to-know because it specifically pertained to the police department itself. And the response was that there were no concerning issues, and the response was very generic on my part. They were satisfied with that, so we moved on. As you may have heard, read, or seen, we've had a number of complaints regarding trash at Riverside Park and Hamilton Field. I've been patrolling both locations while on duty, and when we're down here on the track and after hours, we're trying to address that when we see it, and we will accordingly with some enforcement actions if we see anybody littering down there. There were some other people who also took the initiative to go down and clean it up. I want to thank them for that publicly. They were members of the community, actually.
Yeah.
Paul went down and took what they cleaned up and had quite a bucket full. So I thank him for that.
So, the trash bucket, the 2 trash buckets that we donated down there, are those insufficient?
No, I think they're sufficient.
It's
There's just
getting-
those that are using them and those that are not.
So people just gotta become more compliant.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that there are members down there that are helping police that as well. You know, they're addressing
Yeah.
when they see it, which is good. Finally, I have a request from Dan Bound. Last select board meeting, we talked about him having cars on the track earlier on Saturdays to do test runs.
Right.
And the campground was in favor of that. He spoke with a member of the campgrounds, and they decided that they would rather that he do his test runs on Sundays between noon and 4 o'clock,
Okay.
separate from the races. Now, because it's on a Sunday, he has to get permission from the select board to be able to do that.
So is he applied for formal?
He has, it's sitting right here, I'm gonna give it to you, the racetrack has signed it. He would like the select board to sign it.
Yeah.
What he's asking for is between noon and 4 on Sundays. It may be every Sunday, it may be every other Sunday. It may only be 1 hour instead of 4, you just don't know, because he doesn't know how that's going to work out. I spoke with Chief Ames about this, because
Yeah.
him and I
You're
bounce,
2 of the ones that.
we bounce things off each other all the time. And ultimately, he's the go-to guy when it comes to
It's a
this.
safety.
Right, right. And
Jeff, what's your thought?
doesn't have an issue with it, is that correct?
No issues.
And the campground, excuse me, Chief, for interrupting, Mr. Chairman, the campground has no problem with that. I know, that it sounded like they were the ones that asked it to go from Sunday morning to Sunday afternoon.
They would rather that he race from 4 to 8 on Saturdays and then do the testing on Sundays. Because Sunday is a transition time for people coming in and out of the
It makes sense.
campground, and they're okay with that, they would rather he do that. So, he's trying to make everybody happy,
So it's your recommendation, Lisa?
our recommendation.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So I'm looking for this.
Can I ask one more question, Mr. Chairman, before I sign that? We've had some new or additional activity up there this summer. Have we had any concerns or any issues with any of the public with what's going on up there at all?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Linda, have you heard anything from? Okay.
And I just wanna say that this year has been more structured there.
Yeah.
And the last 2 races that we've done have actually gotten done by 7:15 and 7:30. before we were running those races till 10 o'clock at night. So I think everyone is happy with that, especially the
Yeah.
campground.
Yeah, it's a, I mean, for the town, basically, there's a lot of the businesses just holding their own this year. And I think as a town, we're gonna try to support the businesses. Keep going. Chief, there you go. Maybe give Linda, yeah.
Yes.
Chief Ames? Yeah.
Sure. You all done, Chief?
It's all you, my friend.
It's all me.
You're gonna sound better than me.
So we had, again, several calls in the last couple of weeks. One of them was to Warren at the campground for a camper fire. We had 2 pieces there, and several men. After we arrived on scene, we found out that we really weren't needed. The fire had consumed the majority of the camper by the time, our trucks got there. Warren had 1 or 2 pieces on scene as well. From there, we went into training program. We've been doing a water shuttle and pump operations training, which is pretty much what we utilize for the most part at any fires within the rural areas. So we did that, and then Thursday, this past Thursday, we did a training for the racetrack. He was in need of water for his pond. He came to me, he says, is it something you can help us out with? Well, just so being that we have been doing this practice, this particular drill. So we hauled him 16,000 gallons of water to aid him for Saturday night's races.
And you're using this for your training too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so what we ended up doing there is we had 1 truck at the hydrant site under the bridge between Turner Road and 25 in the river. And we flowed about 1,000 gallons a minute there, and we just shuttled trucks from there. So he was pretty happy with that and very pleased, and he actually gave us a donation to the Fireman's Fund
Right.
for that.
Were you happy, and your firefighters, were they happy with the training?
Yes, everything worked out well there. The Pizza Fairy supplied us some pizzas, and
Okay.
and we had some sodas and
You
stuff
made
like
it
that.
educational and you help people in town.
Yeah.
Quick question for you. Are you interested in doing, for future in the year, doing any helicopter training like we did?
Yep,
I can-
absolutely.
Do you want me to set something up like that?
Sure,
Okay.
that would be great.
Do you wanna do it in the winter, or do you wanna do it in the?
Winter time is going to be easier for us, number one, because we do have so many programs going right now, and maybe a little more challenging for us as well.
Do you, yeah, I'll start for the winter. Do you wanna coordinate any of the medics for the military unit too?
Yep.
Okay, so make it a little seminar
I'll
situation.
discuss it with the ambulance service, and
Yeah, see what you're looking for.
the other thing that I might suggest, because their chief has reached out to me on several occasions for cross-training between the 2 towns, is the town of Orford, Terry Strait, the chief over there.
Oh, okay.
So that would be a good one, because if we do have something happening in those districts,
Right,
they would be involved in that as well, so.
yeah, and a lot of the backcountry stuff that we see
Yep.
is right on the Orford.
Orford, line, Wentworth lines.
Would you involve Fish and Game at all?
Yeah, we can do that. We
Yeah,
can do a full boat.
do it a seminar, maybe we'll, see if we can find a hall to do, the lectures in, and
Yep.
then do the field work at a landing site.
Discussing with the Baker River Snow Machine Club, they have offered the use of their clubhouse for purposes just like that, for the fire department use.
Okay,
So that would be an option for us. Speaking about that, that's been ongoing as far as radio communications, having something put in their snowcat, I'm gonna call it, their
yeah, that,
groomer. And so that's starting to happen. They're going to have a radio with the frequency that we had discussed quite some time ago.
right,
And then they'll sign a memorandum of understanding, I'll bring it to the select board and you can review it, and then sign it if need be or not.
okay.
So that would be something that's coming down the pipe. Sunday, we had 2 calls. One was a lift assist for the ambulance service at the campground.
Yeah.
So we assisted with that. And then we had an illegal burn. Now, this came in as a phone call to my house from a citizen here in town. He said, I see smoke on the mountain. And so I went to his house, viewed where he was looking. It was right after we had gotten lightning strikes in the area. So my assumption was that we actually had perhaps the start of a forest fire, as dry as it's been.
Right.
So I assembled a crew at the station. We pinpointed roughly the area we thought we were in. I utilized some personal ATVs, John Meade,
Yeah.
Paul Davis Jr. had one, and Ricky Butcher brought one. And so we went in from the Camp Victory side. What it looked like, it was partway between Camp Victory and the Green
Saunders.
Camp on Saunders Hill.
Saunders Hill.
So it ended up being an illegal burn with illegal material being burned. They were cited. They had an official written warning handed to them.
So that's right off
The old Coleman place.
Okay, associated with the Coleman.
Yeah. So that's what's happened there. We could have charged for our time. We could have applied fines. We didn't do either. We gave them an official written warning that the state of New Hampshire already has prepared for situations like that. Cited the RSA, and I actually gave them copies of that down to the shop the next morning. And they were all good with that. They put the fire out. There was no more issues, and then they've since asked for permitting. So we've got that under control. But
So they're being compliant.
yeah, and at first, like I said, we were under the assumption that we had something more than that.
Okay.
And that's
That's
pretty
good work.
much-
I like how you pull the ATVs in there, because you're not gonna get a fire truck up there.
No, you will not. Absolutely not.
Not at the old Coleman place.
No.
Not unless you got a deuce in the hat. Okay, you all set?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Sure.
I was up at the town gravel pit last week,
Yep.
and I noticed that there had been a fire. There was a little circle of stones there and some charred materials in there. I don't know, I can't tell how long it had been there, but is that a place that you probably should know about?
Yeah, it
Because
is.
somebody's-
Yeah, I mean, especially if we happen by and see somebody out there, then again, it would be an illegal burn, non-permitted campfire.
As you drive by the entrance, you can't really see that far in, that with the leaves and things out there. Certainly if there was smoke coming out,
Yeah.
probably somebody would see it, but it's not, other than the folks a little bit down the road and across the street, there
Nobody
aren't
can
that
see
many
it.
people, there aren't that many people. But, yeah, I kind of was a little concerned about that, especially with all the dry weather that we
Right.
have.
Yeah, absolutely, and anytime that somebody sees something like that, bring it to my attention, and we'll keep an eye on it.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Jeff, let me just see. No, I think that's about it. Okay, road agent. Whew.
Over the last couple of weeks, I put my report, my weekly or bi-weekly report in an electronic file, and I've given it to Linda
Okay, good.
to post with the meeting minutes.
Yeah.
So I'll just briefly go over it with you. We ditched Beach Hill Road from the nursery up to the beginning of the pavement, and we also put 4 inches of gravel down on the same portion of road, Crowner Road. I will say that I've been up there and we put a lot of water on it. It's packed down really well. Road's holding up well. I put quite a bit of magnesium down. I've had a lot of people complain on Buffalo Road. I took a drive up there just to see what the complaints were really about. And from about 2 feet above the road to about 6 feet high, all the trees were white. I had a lady call me and tell me that she thought they were dying, that we killed them. And what it was dust on the trees.
Okay.
So it had collected in that area. So she wanted to know what we could do about the dust. I told her, and then I had
the rainstorm.
Jordan and Jared's mom called me, and she said she was having awful dust through there. I put magnesium on the whole road. I also put magnesium on your hill, Atwell Hill,
Yeah.
or, Nichols Hill. We have completed the Ellsworth Hill Bridge. I had a couple of calls Sunday. I guess somebody, motorcycle, got a flat tire.
Yeah.
And I was also told that somebody came up here and made a complaint last week. I don't know if that's true or not,
We haven't substantiated that. I have checked into it, but it's not been.
so I don't know what that's all about. Supposedly somebody went over their handlebars on a bike, on a motorcycle.
Ricky Walker.
So I don't know if this is I don't know what this is all about. So anyway, the bridge was in bad shape. I will definitely, the runners, I called Chris Crow Monday morning. He said he's gonna need at least 2 more weeks. He straight out. I bought pressure treated lumber and redid all the bridge runners, and I'm gonna actually leave the pressure treated lumber on them.
Okay.
I just wanna see what the difference is gonna be between pressure treated and white oak, cause I'm gonna do Saunders Hill and East Side Road Bridge.
Yeah.
And it'll give us a good idea if, it's worth the money for pressure treated or the white oak, if they last the same amount of time or whatever, so I'm actually gonna leave it, see what happens. Other than that, I have, and I think you guys have the request, for memos for gravel and the subcontractor, I gave them to you last week
Yes,
to look over,
yes, we signed off on it for, Warren Sand and Gravel.
nope.
That's what you recommended?
Oh, I don't care,
Pardon?
You have the 2 requests for agenda items there.
Oh.
So there's a
Thanks.
construction project that I'd like to get done on Atwell Hill. It's just above 469, which is Brian Dubois's driveway. That's his
Okay.
road number. So right before his driveway, up the road, approximately 400 feet. You can drive up there right now and you see just a little bit of rain had. I have washed that out again. I fixed it probably in the last year 5 or 6 times. But my proposal is to hire a subcontractor, take back the road up to 6 feet over, take the ditch over, widen the road through there so there's not a blind corner on the hill. I have contacted the New Hampshire Electric Co-op. I've asked 4 people to give me prices for excavation, and I had asked 3 people for prices for gravel per yard, delivered and picked up in the yard. And that's what you guys have there tonight.
Okay, so that,
I was really honestly thinking about starting the project in August, but sooner the better at this point. I've got I can't, obviously, the paving's gonna start, July 15th now. They're gonna do it in 3 days.
okay. So, we agreed last time, at the last meeting, about going ahead with the Atwell Hill project. So this is so out of these 3 bids, which one do you wanna use?
Well, they're all about the same price.
Yeah.
Actually, Warren Sand and Gravel picked up in their pit is the most expensive out of anybody. But they're 4 miles away compared to 8 and compared to, 16 probably for pipe. I think it's a difference of 50 cents a yard picked up in the pit, and there's a difference of, there's no difference in delivery price. I don't believe it.
So they're gonna, are they
Between
gonna,
the tulip and, the New Hampshire aggregates. 25 cents a ton, or a yard more from New Hampshire aggregates delivered than it is from Warren Sand and Gravel. But they're 50 cents cheaper than Warren Sand and Gravel picked up in the pit. But we're gonna make that money up in fuel traveling back and forth.
yeah,
So essentially, they're about the same
it's
price.
time and fuel.
Where are you picking it up?
Well, we're gonna haul
Use
with
the
them.
truck, they're using their.
That's why I got prices for picked up at the pit and delivered, because it's gonna be a combination of, if we're putting down 2,000 yards of material, I don't even wanna tell you how many trips that is with our little trucks. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
they're probably gonna have,
Need a 10.
we're probably gonna, haul about a third of the material, say 800 yards, and they're probably gonna haul about 1,200 yards. Two of our trucks equals one of their trucks.
Yeah.
This is on Atwellville?
Yep, and after the construction's done, I'm looking to pave, or not pave, I wish, gravel the road from the end of the pavement up here by the power lines, 1.6 miles up, which brings you to Webster Road. 4 inches of gravel on the whole road. It's really hard to grade the road. There's no gravel on the road.
Yeah. No,
So I have the pricing there for a subcontractor and for the gravel.
so.
My personal opinion is for the gravel, I would use Warren Sand gravel.
Yeah, I don't have any problem.
Yeah.
I can understand it's gonna cost you, you're gonna double your time and double your fuel, going to anywhere else.
The one thing on the subcontractors
Yeah, that's what I wanted to.
is I don't have,
Agreement for this?
I just wanna, what's your budget? How does this affect your budget? Because it's over the new amount, so,
it's over what no amount.
well, I mean, the board approved, a higher amount that you have to give permission for, so, which is what this is about. But but you had money in your annual budget, how does this affect your annual budget,
Well,
this gravel purchase?
it's gonna be between $24,000 and $29,000 worth of gravel.
But it's not over what you budgeted for?
No, I still have $36,000
Okay, all
in my
right,
gravel.
that's all I wanna know, yeah, that's what
Yep.
not sure if that was in the bottom of that or not, it's hard to see these days.
For your information, up above what I call Fletcher's Farm is 3 rods wide. You don't have to worry about width there,
Oh.
but downhill from there, I don't know, there's no layout. You know what I'm saying?
I do. I mean, the road's 20 feet wide. 3 rods is 50, so we should be well within our.
I think any court would give you 2 rods, okay,
Need a motion? No, I don't think so.
on known areas.
Okay, so that's what's under it.
But above,
Okay.
above the Fletcher
Getting
Farm
back
is
to
3
this
rods.
road agent, issue, the subcontractor.
Yep.
What do you need
Well, I had asked Adam Patton and I had asked Nate Miles to give me prices. They both told me they were busy and they'd get back to me, and it's been 2 weeks. And really, all it takes is a simple email, and I can't get them to give me one. So I have 2 prices here. I have one from Larry Bixby, and I have, who is Warren Sand and Gravel, basically. And I have one from Jared King.
Okay. Jordan, can you, I haven't heard, Jordan, are you there? I haven't heard from you. Okay, I'm just making sure you're still here. Okay. Okay, 40, so you think it's gonna be 40 to 50 hours, Paul?
Excuse me?
You're gonna be 40 to 50 hours on this?
Well, I personally think they're gonna, by the time they're all said and done, I think they're gonna be a full week of work. You can look at Larry,
Larry
or
Bixby's,
Lloyd Bixby, he says 25 to 30
30
hours. With bucket, 6 hours with hammer, so he's got basically 36 hours in there. We don't know if we're gonna hit ledge or not, that's why he put time in for hammer. So we do have, his is $130 per hour for the machine. If he has to use the hammer, it's $150 an hour. Jared King is $110 an hour. It says his excavator rate's $140, discounted town rate's $110. But it also says over here, if ledge is found, additional cost of hammer moving, etc.
well, do you think you're gonna find the ledge?
I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me. Nothing would surprise me on these back roads. I don't think we're gonna find a lot. If we find any, it's gonna be, maybe a couple feet of ledge here and there. It's gonna be all rock, I know that. There may be rocks that are so big we can't move, that's very possible.
Yeah,
or they may have to use a hammer to split them in half.
well, you know, each one of these people have, which equipment do you think is gonna work out better for you in the town?
They're both equal. They really are. I mean, Jared's is a 37-pound excavator. Larry Bixby has down, he has a 28,000-pound excavator. And like he
That's a
told me,
small, you know, that's not a big one,
no, but he like he said, he's like, he might bring us 325.
I was gonna say.
He's got 3 different excavators. He put down for his probably 311.
Okay, just need guidance here on this. Okay, Jared's cheaper at 110 an hour. If his equipment is sufficient to do the job, you wanna go with the less expensive hourly rate. And he's local.
The only thing I am gonna say, and I would love Jared to do the work because I definitely have had good luck with him. He's done great work for us so far. I just don't know how much a hammer would be if he has to rent one and bring it to the town. I mean, I'd hate to have him say, well, it's $4,000 to rent a hammer.
Why don't you ask him that?
But I personally, for his hourly rate, I would suggest Jared try to keep it in town. I know.
I make a motion that we do it. I'm gonna make a motion that we have Jared King to the lower rate, that we take him, and we'll cross our fingers on the ledge.
Okay.
What you want?
You're a lot more positive than I am, Mr. Chairman, but I'll second the motion.
Okay.
And, I
But
mean, this
I think
is
you
a
have-
recommendation of the road agent too, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I think you gotta, you know, we gotta give you some lead to work with. So the lead is to go with Jared. Jordan, you gotta vote on that. I'm voting,
I think that I should abstain from voting just because it's in regards to my brother, so I think.
yeah, that's okay. Yeah, and I don't have a problem with it, but you know, you've built roads before. What's your feeling?
As far as what we buy the gravel, I think that the town's got a long-standing history with Warren Sand and Gravel, and they're really great guys, and they're very fair with their trucking rates and hours, and I think that would use them. And as far as who does the actual work, Mary versus Jared, you can't go wrong, Mary does great work with Jared.
Right, both of them, you're right. I've had good experiences with both people. Okay, why don't you, Paul, my guidance is to just address the issue of the hammer contingency, but the vote is.
Okay.
to-
Well, we haven't voted yet, we just got a motion and a second.
I do, before you vote, I do wanna make sure you see, in the physical impact budget line item, that there's I have taken money out of different, categories, line items.
Mhm.
New Hampshire Electric Co-op has to move a telephone pole up there. If the telephone wasn't put in 4 years ago and the town signed off on it, they would have to move it because it's in the town right away. The town signed off on it, so now we have to pay to have it moved 4 years later. And that's $3,000. That's coming out of line item 4312.09X, which is magnesium. I will not be buying any more magnesium this
Okay.
year.
As long as you can pull it from one portion of the budget to the other, but, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So I just wanna make that clear.
That's a teaching point for me to make sure we sign, watch before we sign off on these telephones.
I mean, it's only like 8 feet off the road of the pole, and all the other ones up there are 16, 20 feet off the road. It's just on the corner, and they feel like they're up in the woods.
I think we gotta just keep that in the back of our heads, and we gotta put a pole in, make sure they're not gonna ruin the right of way. Okay,
When I vote, we got a question over here, Mr. Chairman.
Did you vote on that?
yeah,
Is this
we're
good?
gonna go.
Okay, and then I would like to speak that.
Go ahead.
I vote yes, Mr. Chairman.
I vote yes. And Jordan's gonna abstain. Yeah, I understand. Okay,
May I
Linda?
suggest that someone make a motion to accept the department head's report at every meeting? And to become part of the minutes, because I think it just needs to be said formally. Because now we have Paul's and Chief,
Yeah,
and I don't know if you'll be giving the written
I thought that was in the
report.
policy and procedure thing we
It
put in.
isn't, well,
I'll make
Francis
a mo-
brought it up saying that we should have a motion to accept that policy. It is not in the policy and procedures manual.
In the first meeting, we put it in, but I'll do it again. I make a
Oh.
motion that all the department heads' written reports become part of the minutes, which we've been doing right along. Jordan, would you second that?
I will second that.
And vote, I vote yes.
George votes yes.
I vote yes.
Okay. Okay. You got personal policy and employee handbook here, Linda, next.
Yes, I just wanted to know, I know Jordan didn't get a chance to look at it yet. His copy is in his mailbox, but did you get a chance to look at it at all? Okay. So that's the update.
No, I've been busy in my office.
Because we
Sorry.
will have another new hire, well, he won't be. Never mind, it doesn't, he won't be full-time, so.
Okay. Okay, next up is Steve Welch, to discuss the upcoming elections. Steve,
Yes, good afternoon.
good afternoon.
Would you like me to sit someplace or stand?
No,
What would you
Steve,
prefer?
wherever you feel comfortable.
It was pretty comfy out in the hall.
If your voice can carry, that's great.
It probably can. I'm here at your request.
Yes.
We were talking about plans for the upcoming election and how we were going to deal with it. It has been an ongoing topic in the state, as far as moderators and town clerks and everything. Did either of you get
Yes,
Copy
I
of this?
I got it, I
Okay.
reviewed it,
I'll
and it's part of the minutes.
Okay, would you like me to read it for everybody here?
Sure.
Okay, it's short. Ideally, what we were gonna do, with the whole coronavirus going on, I can build some protective screens. Going to buy clear roofing panels, they're cheap. I can just make a wood frame up and do it at the house, where they're 2x8, I can cut them obviously down if I need to for 6-foot tables or whatever. I was thinking at the time, 5 of them, 2 for my supervisors of the checklist, 2 for the ballot clerks, 1 for the table where the town clerk or the assistant town clerk and myself will be to collect ballots. Can certainly do another one up. For making 5, I can make 6, because I have to have a couple of selectmen there or designees there, and I can make another one up to set on the table in front of you guys in case somebody wants to come by and talk.
Sure.
Trying to keep the separation thing going on. I mean, I did throw some preliminary numbers out on there as far as, cost of doing this. I'll throw the labor, I don't care about that, it's gonna take me an hour. So
Well, I
I
think,
do it
you
on-
should- you know, we,
I can do it on a Saturday, so.
there's potential for the town to be reimbursed.
Okay,
And so,
okay, I'll just
we
keep,
just signed off on that grant, Linda
Okay.
can give you advice on that. So
Okay,
You
we
just
can-
gotta put your numbers in, and
okay.
that'll be part of the Jeff
I
grant.
could do that. So part of my procedure thinking, first off, I don't know if the school is going to be open or not. And at this point, the school doesn't know if they're going to be open or not. So that'll be kind of one of those, we'll deal with it when we get there type of thing. So what my thoughts were, we'll want masks for our voters when they come in. My thought was they should come in the front door. You could have a table set, we could have disposable masks, hand sanitizer or wipes for people that wish to use them. As you come down through, if you're a registered voter, you would go past the supervisors. They'll come up, go through your standard procedure of identifying yourself.
Yeah,
As you go through, you get handed either your Democrat or Republican ballot,
yeah,
and you get a golf pencil.
okay, and
Okay.
the golf pencils are probably a really good idea.
And, well, the thing is, nobody's gonna worry about touching a pencil or anything like that. We've got golf pencils, you come through, we can, station, wipes there as well.
Mhm.
Somebody feels the urge or the need to go in, as they go in, they can wipe off the counter real quick. Where we hand count our ballots, if they get a cup damp, it's not a big thing. Machines sometimes don't care for, getting the ballots fed
Yeah.
through. There were other towns that had them jam up just from the dampness of hand sanitizer, so, but we don't have to deal with that. So you come through, you cast your ballot, you hand your ballot off, you finish wiping your hands, again, we could have wipes there, throw everything in the trash can.
Okay.
You've still got your mask on, and only thing that I would, a couple of other things, not so much to do with me, but feedback from other moderators show that most are figuring a 50-50 split as far as in-person voters and absentee. That's something I believe the state is going to figure out on their own, and they send the ballots out. I don't believe we request them. The other part of that would be, I'd also like to have just some extra wipes around, just so we can
Whatever
continue to wipe
materials you
surfaces.
think, whatever materials you need for sure.
And I also chatted with Deb Zamber about this. It might be nice, there will be a certain amount of cost involved, obviously.
Right.
If I get somebody there that just wanders around throughout the day, wipes a few doors down, and just to maintain that cleaning type of environment going on, and it might not hurt to have an extra ballot clerk around, just, I'm not sure what's gonna go on as far as the amount of ballots, I had a note, from the New Hampshire Municipal Association today that, they're gonna allow us to open ballots earlier this year, the process, and there's some talk also of being able to, we're supposed to open, when we open absentee ballots, we open everything at once. But they're going to let us open the outside envelopes, compare signatures, that type of thing, to get a little bit of a head start on things. I believe that still has to go to the governor, and there'll also be, it hasn't listed a number yet, but in order to maintain social distancing, they're looking at letting us reduce the number of solid booths where we have to go in. We could realistically use probably 2 of the 4 we have. The ADA booth, and then I have the placards that I set on one of the tables, and I can spread those out a little bit and give everybody the 6 feet that they need. So we should be, unless the state comes up with something that they're going to mandate, I think we've covered everything.
Yeah, I think what you're gonna do is noodle it around a little bit and figure, who you might have for that extra clerk.
I can hunt up an extra clerk, I'm pretty confident, and then really just a matter of finding somebody that I can just have come through and just, help wipe things down. If there's anybody is nervous, obviously don't want anybody being nervous about coming in any more than people are nervous. I don't want anybody to be worried about it, and certainly wanna maintain the integrity of the election, as well as maintaining the fact that we're trying to keep everything as clean as we can.
I think you're ahead of the game, and I applaud you.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you bringing this to everybody's attention, because we all gotta work together as a team to make this go well.
We do, it's going to be, I don't know as though the September election isn't quite as bad. There's a smaller turnout as a rule for the, for the September primary. The big one is gonna be the November election.
Okay.
We're gonna see a big turnout. We did the last one, 2016, and we'll see a big turnout again this time. None of us have crystal balls, so we can't look ahead to see what to expect.
No,
At
but you know
that
what,
point-
the thing is we need to think ahead and be ready with contingencies, and I think you're set on.
I think I'm in good shape. I'm obviously open to any suggestions. This was something that I sat down and gleaned from the moderators forum that I go on.
Okay.
And if somebody has another idea, I'm open for ideas, suggestions. If I've missed something, which is entirely possible.
So if there's any issues that get addressed to Linda or anybody in the town, we just send them your way?
Yeah, they
Okay,
can
good.
call the numbers on the book. I think everybody's not that hard to get a hold of. Yes, sir.
I'm not asking you to give an answer per se specifically, but if the school is not available, have you given any thought to an alternate location?
I have not. The school will be available.
Oh, it will be, okay.
It's just a matter of whether I'm going to have students at the school or not.
Students
Okay.
are the issue.
Students for
That's
the
not
issue. We voted there before when the school was open. A lot of times, somebody will bring down a history class or whatever, and I walk them through the voting process at a time when things are slow.
You see it, yeah.
Gives the kids kind of a nice opportunity to see
How it works.
what goes on.
Civics.
Yeah, you know, a civics lesson. Some towns have done a drive-through voting type of thing. A lot of them utilized, they had like a highway garage that had drive-through doors. And my concern with doing anything out or outside, I can dress and be outside for 13 or 14 hours. I've done plenty of times. I can't expect the people that are going to be there working to do that. And I would never ask them to do that. That's just not. I mean, if we were to try to set up, for instance, on the town common and tie into the library's Wi-Fi, there's the stuff that's gotta be done electronically, and all we gotta do is have a rainy, windy day, and boy, I'll tell you, 12, 15 hours out in nasty weather is
No, I
just not a
think-
good time.
Staying out of the elements.
And I think what I've come up with, I think is pretty easily doable. I don't see a lot of problems. Again, there may be something that shows from the state that changes this around a little bit. What I will try to do, I guess, is get some sort of a monetary figure
Yeah,
for you. Is that
yes.
what
And
you?
then pass that off. to
Okay.
Linda.
I can just email that to you.
Well, we will actually need receipts and everything.
Well, I understand that, but don't you need a figure?
Right, he's gonna establish a rough number.
I'm gonna try to.
And then-
do a rough
okay.
number.
Then Linda
No, I
will go
understand
through
you
the
need
We
process.
can't
receipts.
submit it yet.
Yeah, I understand
Well,
that.
what, one of the agenda forms that we have set up in the original meeting protocol that the chairman suggested, there's a form, there's an
Yeah.
agenda request,
Right.
and that would, you know.
I can kind of give you an idea where things are gonna be. I mean, I can't cast it in stone.
No, but it's,
But I can give you at least a ballpark to play in.
Right, well, we're right in the middle of getting this grant agreement signed.
Yep.
And part of, when it gets signed, the rules will come out with it.
Okay.
And my gut feeling, dealing with state in the past, is you gotta pay up front first, and then they reimburse you.
Okay.
But what I'm trying to do is get all the department heads thinking ahead on this,
Mhm.
and just so we don't miss anything, because it's a nice opportunity for the town to get reimbursed for what we do.
Right. And now, as a question to that, I'm not sure who to ask on that. Is this grant solely for the September election?
I know both,
It's for both?
it's the fiscal year, when we went through it before, it's this fiscal year.
Okay, so whatever I figure.
Anything that has.
A lot of it I should figure for both elections then.
Right, you gotta figure both of them.
Okay, I'll try to come up with a figure over the weekend, I guess.
You come up with
Sure.
a rough figure, that'll be the rough plan to work with, and then
Okay.
once you get receipts and your hourly, the wages for doing it, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Just put it in.
okay, I can do that, yes, sir.
one other place you might wanna check with, you probably already have,
I might not have,
is the Secretary of State's office.
part of this, part of the email that I pulled out, I didn't read much of any of it out to you, but, I get regular contact from the Secretary of State's office as well as the New Hampshire Municipal Association. We really kept abreast pretty well of what's going on, what's expected, I mean, just as a quick,
No, I didn't hear you mention the Secretary of State, so I just wanted to
no,
make sure.
I get that, like one of the things that they're looking at, the clarifying absentee voter. I believe that your absentee ballots, demands that you will enable, the application form to enable a voter to request an absentee ballot for both the September primary and November general election.
At
Amending
the
the
same
num-
time?
Yep, amending the number of booths, we don't have a number on that yet. Processing the ballots, allowing for partial processing, here we go. Allow for processing of absentee ballots to begin 1 hour after polls open rather than 2 hours. That's something we have to post ahead of time. Allows partial opening on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday before. I can open the outer envelope, examine the affidavit. On the inner one, announce the voter's name and allow opportunity for challenge. You could make a notation on your checklist that it's an absentee ballot as you go looking. Unsure as to what notation actually is going to be. Delivering absentee ballots. There's a few things. One of the big things is the bill does not address the addition or elimination.
It's all gonna start in this.
Okay, all right.
Bill does not address the addition or elimination of polling places or the expedited process for undeclared voters to return to undeclared status. That's something I think they're gonna clarify. Francis Muzzy comes in as undeclared, declares to vote a Republican ticket. Normally at that point, he would come through and say, I wanna go back to undeclared,
Right.
and he would take a form back to the supervisors. He would, I believe when this comes through, it'll be automatically, he would go back to undeclared.
Okay.
And I just had to single you out because you were here.
You won't be up there.
Well, that's good. I'm glad I did that.
That's fine. No,
There's a few other things, but a lot of this is being dealt with. There were a couple of committees that performed to deal with a lot of this, and they seem to be doing a really good job.
Yeah.
But we'll
That's
know.
good. That report is gonna be attached to our minutes.
I believe this is already attached.
Okay, good. Yes. I think
And
it's-
there should be a copy. I brought a copy up and gave it to Linda. So you can look through. It's pretty abbreviated. I mean, good luck reading it, so.
Thank you, Mr.
But anyway, that's what I've got. If anything changes.
Well, now it's in the minutes in the town.
Yep.
People in town are gonna read it ahead of time, so I want everybody in town to feel comfortable with the voting process.
Yes.
And if there's questions, they're gonna direct them to us or you.
Yep, and that's fine. I'll answer questions as I can, and obviously I'm very seldom around during the day, but,
Yeah, you're
certainly will answer any questions I can.
You're pretty straightforward.
I try to be.
Yep.
Anyway, and you guys haven't, or does anybody have any other questions on that? Are we good? Is there anything?
I'm all set.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are you
Thank
good?
very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Muzzy, do you have any questions of me?
I got questions about you.
I bet you do. All right, very good. You guys all have a good night. Thank you.
Take care.
Steve.
Chief Ames, I had a quick question for you. It came up. I know, I didn't.
No, that's fine.
I meant to ask you before. Paul and you and the waste management people, this burning of the brush there.
Yep.
With this situation, do we have a good game plan on this, or, I know, we had talked about it in the past, but as that pile builds up, are we gonna do burns more frequently?
If we get rain,
Yeah, we need
that's
that.
the problem.
I'm not trying to be a pain in the
No,
ass.
and basically, we're in wait mode. Paul's been in touch with me. I'm
Okay,
just
so
trying to
you
wait
guys,
mode to get a little
would you
more.
do me a favor?
I was gonna burn it yesterday, and actually it stopped raining right after I talked to them, and it looked like we're gonna get a lot of rain. They're saying tomorrow is gonna be mostly raining all day.
Tomorrow's gonna rain all day.
I'm hoping, I get up in the morning, it's raining, I get a hold of him, send him a message, and maybe get the okay, maybe not.
Okay, just make sure you let Jim or Randy know, just so they're in the loop, because is there,
Yes.
that's their place.
Well, we're talking about the transfer station and brush.
Yes.
I have a suggestion for the transfer station. We take care of the brush pile, we burn that, no problem. We have refrigerators there that I asked a year ago. They need to find somebody to take the freon out so we can get rid of them. They are piled up behind the construction dumpster. And the second thing I really ought to think the town ought to think about is, we take care of all the metal at the dump, and it is overflowing out. And I do not have time to spend a whole day taking all the metal up there. I think we ought to really look into Witcher putting a metal dumpster there. We get like between $30 and $40 a load. I'm sure you guys have seen the load tickets come in.
Right.
$30 to $40 a load, and it usually takes 6 or 7 loads. It's really a whole day's
Randy,
worth of
Jim,
work.
we're talking about you guys.
It's really a whole day's worth of work for making no money.
Yeah,
I mean, we're not making money on it. I mean, by the time you buy fuel and you pay somebody their hourly rate, we're losing money on it.
How do you guys feel about that?
About,
Well, I was just saying that I think the town really needs to try to do something about our metal pile, because I don't have time to do it. And I was suggesting that they get a dumpster put where the metal is.
I agree.
That would be a good solution. they can just take that up to Witchers and dump it, because we're getting between like $30 and $42 a load.
That's been offered now, which is,
Perfect.
and, I'll
Have
actually.
you offered that?
He did, he talked to me the other day.
That's gonna be a lot easier way to manage that.
We can, I just have to go through the town to do it, but they said they can do that, they can put a roll off down there and they'll take the metal
Okay.
and make it easier.
Is there gonna be a cost associated with the roll-off, or are they just taking the metal for the cost?
I would think maybe they take it just for the cost, because it's a free dumpster to them. I don't know.
Time out, stop. Randy,
Get as much as you
why don't
can.
you talk to Wishers
I will.
and get us, if they're gonna just leave the dumpster, just go ahead and do it.
Okay,
If they're gonna charge us a fee,
then we'll,
then bring it back and we gotta vote on it.
no problem.
Okay, when you make a call, if they're not charging us an extra fee, make it happen,
Okay,
okay? You feel comfortable?
Sure.
The other thing I just mentioned, I want to say to Randy, you gotta find someone to get rid of the Freon in those refrigerators, so we can.
Jordan, are you comfortable with that?
Perfect.
I called somebody, okay?
Yep.
I'm working.
Okay, okay. And the next issue is the Freon in the refrigerators? Okay, what do we have to do there?
I called the guy the other day, he's supposed to be calling me right back, we're gonna get him drained and out. As soon as he calls me, hopefully within the next 2 days, he said he'll go down there and drain them out, and we'll just mark them and they can go.
Okay,
Okay?
yeah, let me know in a couple of days
I will, yeah.
what you hear from them, okay?
You
Okay?
probably just go to the metal dumpster, right?
They can. It's all-
Yes. And then the burns, Jim was talking to me the other day, sometimes the burn occurs and then you guys don't know about the burn.
Right.
And it's like, I know, I'm presenting the issue. You don't know about the burn. All I wanna do is make sure we're all on the same net.
Sure.
Okay, so, however you do this through email, the town email or whatever, I want everybody to know when there's gonna be a burn and have it happen.
Good.
Okay? And it's the same thing with emergency nets, everybody has to be on the same net, okay? And you guys are doing that. Okay. Is Ron Como here? Oh, wait a minute, is there anything else from you two on waste management?
I'll talk to you after about the compactor, yes.
Okay, yeah, cause we have one non-public.
Yep.
Okay, but not, I'm not gonna do that non-public
Going away.
in a few minutes, okay? I told you 6 o'clock, but we got behind.
That's fine.
Is Ron Como here?
Ron Como?
Okay. Kathy Keefe?
Guess it's me, you're stuck with me next.
Yes.
We actually touched on some of this during, already. I was one of them down at Page's doing cleanup.
Right.
And, there were a lot of pieces in which had been discussed many times.
Okay, she's fine.
Emily,
No, she's fine.
Okay.
I just was laughing.
she has been very patient, I have to say that. She's eaten a whole bag of carrots. So there's several things I can touch on down there at the park. One, the picnic table at the park is beyond repair and needs to be removed before somebody gets hurt. And it needs to be replaced somehow. It's been there since I was involved in the park.
Okay.
So it's really old and it's sort of cocky on the park and it's sort of stuck underneath some trees and,
Yeah.
before somebody gets hurt
What is
on
it?
a nail, a used, well, it's now used, it's very used, picnic table. I'm sure it just needs to be hauled out of there, manned out of there, because it was a manly table if I can remember.
Okay.
And that was a piece, that I noticed when I was down there. I know that we have somebody down there, managing, the grass and the care of the grass. But one of the questions was, who's managing the care of the courts? We put a lot of money into building the courts for the town, and I know after one flood, Gail and I went down there with one of John King's men, and Gail and I swept sand
Right.
for 2 days. And we put it in wheelbarrows, and John King's guy wheelbarrowed it off the courts as we cleaned up the sand.
Okay.
So the growth on the courts of the greenery has, from year to year, seems to be encroaching into the blacktop, which then destroys your, your guarantee on the court.
Right.
So that's something that should be talked about and decided on how it can be
Well,
handled.
tennis court maintenance is incredibly expensive.
You mean to put the coating on?
No,
That-
to maintain it each year. It should be maintained every single meeting.
Well, no one,
Who's in charge of the park? Is that the
You-
Riverside?
you know what, Riverside, I don't know that anybody's ever been in charge of Riverside since the duck race, when I was involved, which was the Friends of Wentworth Park and Rec, which actually at the time, actually had,
That's the only people I knew that were in charge of the park.
well, there was a committee
Yeah,
out of the town toward the park, but when we dissolved, I don't believe that the town,
town didn't take it over.
no one, it just has gone into the abyss.
Okay.
Okay, so that's something that, since I do know about that, and I do know a lot about from the beginning of the whole building of the park, because I've been involved.
Sure.
So, let's see, my son is 29 years
So
old.
what's your advice?
Well, it needs to be talked about and try to figure out what we can do as far as, getting, I mean, I've been going in every year since I started, and volunteering my time.
Why don't you put
to clean it
together a committee of people who are interested in Riverside Park
up.
and come up with some recommendations?
And a group of us that did go down and clean up pages
Right.
have talked about stuff like, who's in charge of that ugly snow fence that's down there? Who put that ugly snow fence down at the park?
I have no idea. I think that was Eric Hiltz.
Okay, well, we want to try to remove it and, because it's just hanging all, it's
Yeah,
in
but-
disrepair.
Come on, you need a plan. Okay?
Yes,
You,
and-
listen to me, okay?
Okay.
You need to come in, I see your issue,
Yeah,
but you're going all over the place.
okay, if I'm going all over the place,
Hang on.
if I'm going all over the place, I have to get, understand that one, this is the town's property, between the town and the library. It's not my responsibility, I have already did 17 years of fundraising and working in there.
Nobody's saying
Okay.
it's your responsibility, you don't have to do anything here. If-
Okay.
I'm just,
And-
Jeff,
and-
hang on, Jeff.
Just as a recommendation, and we've talked about this many times in the past, I would feel comfortable if the select board appointed a park commission.
That was my,
Yeah.
right there.
All I wanna do is get some advice from people that are interested in doing
There
the park.
used to be a group that actually had to do with the park long time ago. And that dates back to Ed Waldron, if anyone knows Ed Waldron, he was a part of that, and Ash, and, some of us. Yeah, and, so it is a concern of mine because the court is being destroyed by the greenery. And I can't keep feeling like it's my responsibility to go down there every
Nobody's
year.
asking you.
Okay, so, and, but I just wanted to bring up these concerns because we did go down to Riverside Park and we did clean it up. And there was a lot of glass, we swept all that up, we cut back the greenery back there and, we put debris in his pile as well as we removed debris ourselves. The bigger stuff we put in his pile because he's manly and I knew that he could handle a little more than we could. So as far as the trash cans, they've been a past thing, we did that before. And, what I found, I was chuckling when I was reading online how everybody was gonna put down the trash cans, cause I've been there, done that, okay? And
Okay, but you gotta make a point, Creed.
okay,
You're
my
right.
point is, I would like to see one, there's no porta potty in the park. So the problem there becomes somebody pooped beside the river because there was no porta potty there, so they just did it right there in, private property, which is unacceptable. Even if we have to put, wipes there or something for people to actually have some kind of facility, it is our town. We've had a porta potty there every year, and it's not there this year, I understand. And if they want to change that, as far as, we also talked about, could we charge a fee for anyone using the park. So we can actually determine more of, maybe, yes, it's community.
Okay, I'm
We get
hearing you.
community,
Okay.
but it gives some kind of monies going in there to actually help us maintain things that we don't.
We have no
maintain.
leadership, we have no leadership on the park. I think a park commission is a good idea. I think you need to meet separately with the select board and establish an agenda.
Okay,
And prioritize your list of things, and then do a cost-benefit analysis. That's how you need to do this.
okay, well, since I'm sort of green on that, I need somebody's guidance on that, because I don't mind,
Guidance, I'm giving it to you.
okay,
I just gave it to you.
okay, so I need to get a committee and then come before the select board, is what you're saying?
It's in the policies and procedures of the town that we voted on at the first meeting on how to do this. There's a form you can fill out. You go right through the whole thing and you prioritize everything so that we can make something, so we can make an agenda to vote on.
Okay,
Okay?
There is a legal
Hang on,
entity.
go ahead, hang on. Go ahead, Jeff?
I was just gonna say probably the same thing Francis was saying, there is a legal entity for the Park and Rec Commission. It's,
You appoint them or they're elected.
Yeah, but nobody's volunteered. Nobody
Right.
wants the job.
and
I
it's,
mean,
that's the problem.
the problem here is we got a conservation commission and we got a lot of these groups that can be started, but nobody wants to step up and do it.
you know, I don't,
And you're frustrated because you wanna get it done, but you can't do it by yourself.
right,
I clearly see that. So somehow, we've gotta get a cadre of people who are interested, focused, and develop a plan. That's all
Okay.
I'm saying. And I think everything you're saying is correct, I don't have any argument with it, but it needs to fall.
I just wanna make two quick points. The town does have somebody that mows lawns and stuff here,
Yes.
however, he's 86 years old and we cannot expect,
87.
okay, 87, we can't expect him to be weed whacking and stuff like that.
right,
I honestly, I don't think we have the time at the highway department to help out at all. But the second thing is, the trash cans have been working, we have emptied them, and there's a lot of trash in them. However, I do wanna point out, the one reason I was very hesitant about putting them down there is exactly what happened yesterday morning. I went down there to empty the trash cans, and I had to call Chief Trot to come pick some stuff up, because I was not touching any of it.
Right.
And
You
it's
can see it on
unfortunate,
25 when you drive along.
it's unfortunate, it happens. Yesterday, everything was dumped. I went there this morning specifically to check that same garbage can, and there was 2 other things in that garbage can. I am worried about the kids around town.
Mhm.
If they drop something in that trash can, they reach in to pick it up, and they get poked or stabbed, it's a problem.
yes.
Was this drunk paraphernalia?
Yes, I
Okay.
was not impressed at all.
Well, we had
There's a
that.
lot of drugs being done at the park.
We had, at the time when we first put the park down there and we put trash bags down, or trash cans down there, and people, when the dump was not open, were coming and putting their household waste down there in the cans. And I, many times, in my personal vehicle, hauled it to the dump, so I understand.
And I had, just so you know, I had talked to Chief Trot, I talked to a couple other
The
people.
chief knows about it.
And he has talked to other law enforcement officials, whether they be sheriff or state police, that may drive through town at night when it's dark out, and they have, you know, maybe requested that they do a drive-by down in Hamilton Field at the swimming hole just to see
Right.
what's going on down there.
Yeah, I think, Linda, you boarded the porta potties.
Yes, I didn't realize that we had to order the porta potties every year. I thought it was an automatic thing,
I thought it was too.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they should be coming in another week.
So,
just get a cadre of people together. who-
Okay.
who are just interested in the park.
okay, I'll do that.
And you don't want people that are gonna pay lip service and just come to meetings and do nothing. You want people that are gonna do something.
Yeah, I-
I got it. That's
Been
what
there,
you-
been there, done that, 17 years.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, one other suggestion that might help you, the community corrections out of the Grafton County Correctional Facility. They have a community corrections group that comes out and can
Right, I
help,
saw them helping you.
they could help you do cleanup down at the town property, okay? They'll come in they're very busy, but as long as you get to Sergeant Griffin, oh, he hasn't been promoted yet? Lieutenant?
No, I saw him this morning.
Okay.
He's up there.
To get him to come and they can sweep, they can cut brush, they can pile stuff up, but sweeping and painting and a whole bunch of things, depends on who they've got, who they have for residents in the Department of Corrections.
Okay.
Different skill sets.
Okay, all
Okay,
right. I'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks.
Find us some people, 20, 30, 40.
I don't have a problem. 17 years of that, I'm a voice.
Thank you very much.
Donna, you're all set?
Yes, I am. As you know, we're gonna have, a farmer's market,
Okay.
and it's going to be every week, it's on every Saturday,
Okay,
starting July 11th, August 29th, from 10 to 2.
okay.
I have 15 people lined up already. There's a food cart, a lot of different.
Okay.
You don't need to know.
Yeah.
Right? Do you need to know who's going to be
No,
there?
no, I mean, you basically need
Crafts.
crafts,
Yeah, and we
food,
think.
drink, farming,
Yeah, we have somebody selling eggs.
woodworking stuff.
Honey, we have eggs, honey, homemade mask, dog biscuits, equipment, yeah, we have all sorts, cornhole boards, somebody's gonna be selling those, and
Okay.
handcrafted dog
I think it's a
collars.
great way to get people who do things at their house to sell their wares.
That's what we're doing, yeah, a
And,
lot of people,
I mean, even the fellow that carves the bears up on
every Saturday.
Route 25.
Was it that Viking lumber or something?
Viking lumber.
Whatever
Yeah,
that was,
yeah,
so-
I mean, just anything in town, I think it's great to pull the town together and develop the esprit de corps.
Yes, and I did register with the state. I called the state and, registered with them, contacted Gail McWilliam, and she, well, we put on the registry if we want, if it's, it's kind of like a free advertisement type
Okay.
thing. That way, she said, I mean, there's no alcohol going to be sold, but someday down the line, somebody, but I wasn't concerned about that, I just wanted a free advertisement
Yeah.
to be on there.
What about farmers like D Acres and,
I contacted D Acres, have not heard back from them.
Okay.
I've contacted I've been contacting other vendors. I put it on Facebook, I have my own Facebook page, so each time somebody signs up as a vendor, I ask them to send pictures, so I've been posting pictures of what they're going to sell.
so you're
say
really
that-
marketing this?
Yes, I've
Okay,
been
good.
helping, and the thing I'm concerned about is the lawn being mowed on that day, for that day.
Yeah.
Also, garbage receptacles, if they could be, and the porta potties have been ordered, right, so there will be one down there, cause I thought there was.
Yeah, there's gonna,
Okay.
it should be one by then.
Well, they said 1 to 2 weeks, it's been a week,
Yeah, I hope so,
so
because,
hopefully it'll be there.
Okay.
Nothing I can do,
Yeah, it's fine.
yeah.
Who touches base with Eugene in the town? Or does Eugene float to his own tune?
Pretty much go.
Okay. Whoever sees him first, just tell him July 11th. is gonna
just
be
until the
there.
29th, every Saturday to have it mowed would be
Yeah.
nice to have it.
I think he sees Chief Trot once in
Chief.
a while, doesn't he?
You touch base with Eugene.
Eugene,
Trying to think of how to contact Eugene.
Garrett.
Yes, I see Eugene.
Okay, if you see him, can you let
Yes, I will.
Or before
know
it was
him for me?
Saturday. And the, garbage.
No, Friday.
Yeah, mow on Friday, not on Saturday,
Right.
while they're there.
I was following you.
A little weaving in and out, no. And the garbage receptacles, will there be some down there, or what do we supply around?
there's a can there already,
Yeah.
and,
If I bring I have garbage bags in there and
yeah,
just leave them?
there's one down by the swimming hole too.
Yeah,
You can probably steal one from across the
See
street.
one from swimming hole, bring it down.
I don't know.
I
if
could
I'll
bring
get
one.
that one. I'd probably, go across the street, get the one from down by the tennis court. There's two right there.
okay.
Okay.
I'd get one of those.
So fill them with large garbage
You
bags,
can.
and then if they get filled, I can just.
Yeah, that would be the best. I mean, I don't put garbage bags in it because we just go get them, dump them in the bucket in the back
Oh,
row, and I
okay.
take
All
it
right.
and dump. But
I was just thinking if they get over,
they
I
might.
get my, yeah, I'll play it by ear first
They
time
might.
and see what happens,
Okay,
okay?
well, it sounds like you're really organized on this, and you're marketing it well.
Yeah, we have been help
Is
with
there anything-
Arlene Patton and Deb Zamba, I think I had and Arlene's gotten some people, and contacted them, but I think word of mouth just by the Facebook page and,
Yeah,
advertising.
people are
there.
making stuff just to bring to this.
There are people very interested in just selling, because there are no other venues open the fairs are all closed this year, and Old Home Day in Warren is closed. There's no market day this year, so people are, you know, they've been working all winter and they
It's
want
a
to
great
sell
way to
things.
fill a void, and it's a great way to help the town.
Yeah,
Really
Was
good.
it Hamilton Field?
Thank you.
what's that?
Was it Hamilton Field?
Yes,
And you got keep them fat, I assume?
yes.
Yeah. Have you touched base with the folks over at the Lakes Region, Farmers Market? I got an email from them, I get an email from them every once in a while, and I was gonna try to forward her on to Jen Mead, I couldn't find her email, so.
Okay.
They were looking to talk with some of the other farmers markets, and maybe, you know, they might have some other ideas to share with you, or
Okay, but
if you need.
are they in the Grafton County area?
Well, they're Lakes Region, they're in the other,
Okay.
you know,
Because
but,
we're trying to keep it with the Grafton County, but, I mean, I wanna give them first dibs.
no, but I think it's more to share ideas
Okay,
and
yeah.
things like that,
Yeah.
so.
Very good, very good.
You might wanna scope out Canaan on Sundays. They do a farmer's market on Sundays, and you can go around and find out.
Okay.
Their vendors might
Very
interview
good.
all the days.
Oh, yeah, if they're, yeah, exactly, that would
Mhm.
really help.
Yeah, very
Do you have a point of contact at Canaan
Corey.
for Donna?
contact for you.
No.
That's a good idea.
Not yet.
What's that?
I asked her if she had a point of contact to give to you
I'll
of
be,
Canaan Market.
I can
be
find
in
it.
Canaan tomorrow,
Yes,
so.
actually, I can, it's on the site.
Oh, perfect.
It's on the, state site, so I can look it up.
Okay.
Okay, good,
There's no charge
okay.
as of now.
You could always put a little donation jar for the vendors, you know, just, it's a free country, and they can help out if they.
Okay, and the money would go back to the town?
Well, it could help fund your.
I could use it to
Yeah.
fund your farmer's market.
Okay.
You may have some expenses
Maybe,
going forward.
yeah, you're gonna, I mean, think of the energy you're putting into this. You're gonna have administrative paperwork, stuff like that, and, you know, once you get it off the ground, you're gonna be going left and right at the same
Mhm.
time. So
Mm-hmm,
if you have a little bit of a kid to help you with that, that's probably a good idea.
okay.
But, you know, have you got a name for this? I
It's
mean, a
just the
formal
Wentworth
name?
Farmers Market,
Okay.
and I had put a form on the Facebook page.
As long as you got a
Filling
name
out.
in your, yeah, just say for a donation kitty for the Wentworth Farmers
Okay.
Market. Cause you're not charging them a fee, and so,
And I think Old Home Day, they charge quite a bit in Warren.
I know, but let's just, it's more important
No, I
to get
get,
it,
no, I think it's good that we're doing.
let's get it off the ground
Yes,
first.
yes.
And then you need support, cause,
Yes.
you know, when you run the farmer's market, eventually, you are gonna need better trash pickup. You're gonna need better maintenance of the grounds. You're gonna need, facilities and things like that. So those are expenses, and, you know, just thinking ahead.
Very good.
You might wanna have one person though, kind of shepherding the money, the donations, one person. So that, maybe you need to file a report.
Have a treasurer.
Have a treasurer, yes.
You got a title, and you got a title of a group, elect yourself some officers, you know, have a treasurer, and have that treasurer responsible, because as you go on and you establish a 501(c) or something like that, you've already got your mechanism to execute on that, okay?
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, that's very good initiative.
Okay.
Good one.
Let's see. Andrew, you're up.
Alright, so, most of you folks know earlier in the year, I started a conversation about, sort of expanding broadband in the town. That's sort of, I mean, the research I did, I did a bit of research, but it kind of was put on hold because of the whole COVID-19 thing. Now, the governor recently passed, or approved, as part of the CARES Act, I'm gonna read off what the purpose is of this. So the Governor Sununu has authorized the allocation and expenditure of $50 million from the CARES Act Coronavirus Relief Fund to address the increased need for internet connectivity due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Connecting New Hampshire Emergency Broadband Expansion Program will benefit students, families, and businesses as the need for distance learning, telework, telehealth, and other remote services continues due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So this recently was approved, but there's a big problem with this. And I really do appreciate Chief Trot actually even making me aware of this. Chief definitely has an interest in this. And I've already also been speaking with Beth Folsom as well. The issue is this request for proposal, RFP, was issued on the 18th of this month. All the proposals need to be in by Thursday. This is a 2-week period, which is absolutely crazy, I think. And there's
Where
been
they need the proposal?
so the proposal is somewhat detailed. I have all the details on what needs to be in the proposal.
Okay.
But the problem is that proposal needs to be done in conjunction with some type of internet service provider. And for what I understand so far, speaking with the chief, the deadlines just do not meet what we could possibly even do.
Okay.
So Chief had been in contact with Senator Gatta's office as well. I'm not sure if you want to add anything at any time as well, Chief, as well. But Senator Gatta is trying to get it's the Office of, Strategic Initiatives in New Hampshire that's providing, ultimately sort of guiding the state on this project. And they're not currently budging on any of their deadlines. The deadlines I told you were for the request for proposals, and those are from basically the towns in conjunction with these internet service providers. But the other problem is, even if we were to get that proposal in by Thursday, we basically have to spend all of the money by the end of the year. And getting an internet service provider to actually build out this network by the end of the year is basically impossible also.
Okay, hang on.
Yeah.
That's legislation which was put forward in a very non-practical way.
Agreed, absolutely agreed, I think everybody does.
That's okay.
Yep.
You can't get frustrated with that. Okay. What I would do is execute on complying with that. Let them know you're trying to comply, but that the deadlines are not realistic. I talked with a representative from Spectrum who realizes this grant is out there. Spectrum knows that this town is interested. This town needs to have this broadband increase. They know they need it for education of the students. Rural students do not have the resources to do virtual education. So the company understands that they gotta work, that this is a tremendous opportunity for them. From the point of view is it's hard for the company to validate putting money into a rural place because there's not that many people there. But it's a lot easier for them to put it in if they know that the New Hampshire state government is gonna support virtual education of the kids. So these are the pieces that are coming together. And it's how you put the pieces together that solves it. So I think this has to be a multifaceted approach. Comply with this request. Let them clearly know you're complying. Because, you're taking the initiative. and they can't shoot you down for that initiative. It's not a fail-safe thing. I think it's important that we get in touch with the companies that can provide the broad spectrum, the communications you desire.
Right.
And have them help us support this research.
Absolutely. So just to elaborate a little bit on that, obviously we spoke a little bit earlier about you said you contacted Spectrum, so I'll definitely want to reach out there. I did reach out. I have a contact at Consolidated Communications that I had already been in contact with earlier in the year. So that's already out. I'm planning on trying to figure out what they need from us.
Right.
And on slightly separate topic, I did mention that or earlier that I want to try to get together a committee so we can really.
I think we need, the
Yeah.
same thing I did with Kathy. We
Yeah.
need a committee here
Yeah.
to help guide the select board.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
The people that need to be on this committee is somebody, in the town, you need somebody with an educational background, from teaching, what works for the teachers.
Sure.
You need somebody that has good comms experience. You need somebody who, probably a provider, first responder. Because this is gonna help you guys get on the same communication map. You need to have somebody from that. As far as the person that can deliver, the company that can deliver, I think you need a representative to put a proposal together from, say, Spectrum and Consolidated, and see who can do the job the quickest.
My biggest
Does that
concern
make
though
sense?
is absolutely my biggest concern right now, and I'm definitely going down those avenues, but again the state's deadlines are just unattainable. So
I'll call them.
Yeah.
Just, you call.
but you want me to go ahead
I want you
and
to
start this process no matter what the deadlines
You
are.
can't, you
Okay.
can't defeat yourself
Hmm.
before you start,
Understood.
okay? You just take the initiative and go for it. And then if you got points of contact that you need to talk with, I think the select board can talk from the point of view of representing the town. We have representatives in this area who would welcome the chance to step up and help a town.
Perfect.
Guy is coming up for re-election. He's gotta start doing some good stuff pretty quick, or he's gonna be out on his can. We can take advantage of a lot of opportunity here.
Understood.
May I suggest one other
Sure.
public official, Executive Counselor Michael Crine. The chairman has already talked with him on another issue. I don't know how helpful he was.
No, he turned the Department of Transportation around in 24 hours. The commissioner of the Department of Transportation called me back. They had the core drilling done for the bridges, and it was done.
Awesome. I think I heard you mention that maybe at the
Michael
last
Prine.
select board meeting.
Yeah, he's out of Hanover.
Michael Prines. Okay. All right.
Andrew, I would move forward as if you're gonna be able to get it done as fast as you can and let Bob Gaida and the legislative arm put the pressure on this agency to
The
back off on
agency
their
has to be
dates.
more
Because
realistic.
yeah, you as a person, you're not gonna get very far with them saying we need more time. But if then we get an executive council person and a
State senator.
senator and things like that, then that's gonna be, and they'll be more impressed and more likely to help if they know you've already formed a committee, the paperwork has been started. You've shown the initiative, let's move forward, and,
Awesome.
Can you sit down and help him with that?
yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Bob.
What Andrew, I just don't want you to get frustrated.
I'm gonna get it done. I can be frustrated, but I'm still gonna get it done. It just in talking with an owner earlier, trying to get the I don't know, politics and what I think is logical apparently are two different things.
Let other people help you with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate it. I absolutely love your help as far as like obviously you're getting into politics again, So I appreciate that.
So just for the purpose of clarification, if I can.
Sure.
The RFP that Andrew is referring to, the deadline for that is day after tomorrow. That RFP is not going to be met. That's what he's frustrated about.
I know.
So what we did do, what I did, and because I'm working on this up north as well, I
Okay,
reached out to Bob Guida, I reached out to one of his representatives, I reached out to Rick Ladd, who's our legislative representative for this area. He's a direct contact with the Department of Education because he advocates for them on a regular basis. I've been in touch with the SAU 23 up in Haverhill and the town manager up there. We had a conversation with the Commissioner of Utilities for the state of New Hampshire, hoping that he would be able to help us apply a little bit of pressure to the two major companies, which is Charter and Spectrum Charter and Consolidated Communications.
Yeah.
So as it turns out, because they are private entities, private companies, the state really has no say in what they do or don't do. Who does are the governing bodies of communities where they have services, because they have, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
That's where the select board comes to play.
Right.
Okay?
So the $50 million is something that's not gonna be realistic day after tomorrow. However, Senator Bob Guida did send a letter to the powers to be, asking them for an extension for the end of July. The end of July probably isn't realistic either, but that's one step forward.
Right.
If we do get a committee formed, we put some steps and measures in place. One of the directors with Charter or Spectrum is interested in looking at what you have for people so that they know what that build-out may consist of. So they're not looking at trying to do something, they're just not, because of the deadline, able to do something right now. So I would encourage us, let's just continue to do it.
Yeah.
But it is frustrating because we're not gonna get that answer.
So
That's not even realistic.
who's gonna work on this? You obviously have a
Well,
database,
I honestly, I think I'm gonna be probably the primary person to, just so everybody knows, I've been a computer network engineer since like 2007.
Right.
And doing various different things with the computer networking, security, etc. So, I am completely fine, with that aspect and trying to coordinate, say, with the different ISPs and that sort of thing. But what I really need help with is probably more on the business side of things. Cause I know the technology, but, maybe, dealing with the, politics.
would you three people be willing to get going on this and whoever?
Yeah, we've kind of been working on it the last week or so, and I've been forwarding them the information with the political contacts that I've been reaching out to.
So you're already doing this.
Yeah, they've looped me in, and then I spoke.
Who else should be looped in?
Well, Bob Guida will be looped in, a representative from Spectrum, a representative from Consolidated.
Right.
We should also get a realtor that covers this area, because this weekend, I was with a bunch of other candidates doing some training, and there is a trend now among people who had summer homes up here that they were planning to retire to someday, are now, you're seeing them retire early.
Okay,
And moving up
like that.
here.
Okay.
And so we're now going to be seeing an influx of people who are used to much better internet capabilities and may still work from home. So, and that also reflects into also those people who now have worked from home and their companies are okay with that, are now wanting to move out of the more dense areas. So we're gonna see a progression of home sales and things like that that are gonna kind of follow suit. So that's kind of what is trending in the real estate market.
I know there's definitely quite a bit of consequences to not having what people would say is sufficient internet speeds and whatnot. And I heard it, starting a thread on Facebook and seeing various different reasons on why people really need it. There's so many different, all kinds of different parts of the spectrum there, so.
And I wanna also tell you that, we're just candidates at this point, but the northern candidates are really thinking this through for the next legislative session as well. So if we aren't right into it in this batch, I think you're gonna see another wave coming at some point in the future, depending on how the whole political season plays out. But the northern candidates, legislators are definitely looking at this as being a priority.
One last thing, I'm gonna put some feelers out there for additional folks that wanna help out with the committee as well.
What are you gonna, for our minutes, what are you gonna call this committee?
When was broadband,
How about Wentworth internet expansion? How about,
Okay.
Yeah,
Wentworth-
there you go.
So this will be Wentworth Internet Expansion, and it's gonna be yourself, Seth, and Paul.
Yeah, we'll start with that and then build, and we can report every 2 weeks what
But I
we've
really-
accomplished.
Get a teacher in there,
Okay.
cause they're the ones that do the virtual education.
And, you
And
know,
a real
at some
estate person?
point, right, and at some point, what I've been reading in a lot of different things is they wanna know that they have the support of the selectmen. So that's, at some point,
You got that.
right,
make the
You
minutes
know,
reflect that, make the minutes reflect that.
so that, not that you're gonna do the work, not that you're
No,
authorizing money, but
that's why I
just
had-
the
Sorry,
support.
the
Mhm.
reason you're on the agenda is because this is really
Correct.
important.
Yeah.
Okay?
Make the minutes reflect the fact that you're in favor of this.
Well, we are in favor, we asked them to be on the agenda.
We're gonna need minutes before it's effective.
Yeah, I think it's important too, for on a whole bunch of levels, so I'm in favor of your efforts in that regard.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, and that's all. Sorry for taking up some
Anything
time.
else? No,
No.
you did, I think you did it, you were concise, and you got to the point. We covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, thanks for coming back.
Yeah,
Um,
and whenever, just call
Okay.
me,
Absolutely.
just call, and my schedule's open, so.
You're ready for,
Two comments
I
here.
just have one more issue that it came up, and I don't wanna hold it up, it's a driveway permit application.
okay.
Paul already looked at the place and he's requesting a 15-inch culvert instead of a 12. So I just need somebody to sign it, we wanna get working on it. This is difficult every 2 weeks, you know,
That's
putting things off.
So, Paul wants the
proposal in the back says he's gonna put in a 12-inch culvert,
and he
but
needs
Paul
a
wants a
15.
15.
Yeah, 15's minimum nowadays, yeah.
And he said, Paul said, everything else looks fine, plenty of visibility and all that.
Okay, just, this is, he's from Redding, California?
Yes, they own property on that one.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
12-inch culverts are too small, it's just gonna,
We have one more.
so who's gonna let them know they gotta do a 15-inch culvert
It's gonna be
on that?
Yeah, I'll just put contingent upon
Okay.
something. I told him verbally anyway.
Yeah, it's not that much difference in price, you just have to block up.
It's gonna echo your sentiment on the 15-inch culvert. Thank you.
Maybe we'll talk about okay, any public comments?
Yeah, just two very brief. Number one, the minutes won't come out until, another two to 4 weeks, so I'm gonna have to say it
The
again.
minutes are out 2 days.
Minutes for last time. Are they? Well, I'm gonna say
We
it.
just signed
It'd
it
be fast if
today.
I just say it. When you have a non-public, such as a tax issue, that's a non-public, okay, good deal. If you make a decision, that decision, like the tax lien agreement, that decision has to be made public record. It can be very vague, so as not to reveal names, but still represents You have to have it has to be in the minutes. On the other thing, just for your information, there is an RSA, don't have it on the top of my head, having to do with building on class 6 roads. Anybody building on a class 6 road is supposed to agree to the selectmen, with the selectmen, that they understand, there's a form, that they understand they may not receive emergency equipment. And, well, it hasn't been enforced to my knowledge, and it probably should start being enforced.
If they build on a class six, yeah, that's true, that's common knowledge.
Coleman's, for example, is a private way,
Right.
so that wouldn't apply anyway, but, just to keep in mind.
Thank you. Okay, I make a motion now that we move into a non-public.
Pursuant to RSA 91-8:3, small b, I second the motion.
Jordan,
Good luck.
you vote?
I vote yes.
Yes.
By the way, I hope your brother's better.
Omer votes yes.